All right, today I want to talk about pretty much my whole experience with helicopter parenting and just growing up with an extremely overprotective mother. This will probably be like one of my more important videos. I'm not looking for like sympathy or empathy or anything like that. I'm just kind of, explaining what I went through. And, now that I'm finally away from all that, that whole mess, I finally I feel like I'm getting closer to becoming, just independent, if that makes sense, because I definitely did get sheltered horribly. And, it was just horrible, just a horrible experience. There is a pretty big debate though on the whole nature versus nurture, the reason why you turn out the way you do is because of how your parents raise you, has nothing to do with their genetics. But I'd argue it's the same thing. I mean, nature and nurture, it's the same thing, because first off, the blackpilling part about it is that you don't get to pick your parents. You just kind of randomly one day just pop into existence. You don't pick your parents. They just, it is what it is. And it's all random. There's no meaning behind it. You just one day start existing, and that's that. And every flaw they have, physical disability, mental illness, bad looks, it'll be passed on to you. And, mental illness definitely runs rampant in both sides of my family, especially my mom's side. And, there's been speculation that I have some sort of mental illness, especially, as I was growing up, going through elementary school. The teachers all thought I had autism. They kept, begging my parents, every single year they would write a note or call them up, hey, we think your son, you really need to get him tested. And my mom would just flip out. He's fine. My son is fine. Blah, 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 blah. Until, now it's so mind blowing how through my teenage years, all that stuff, she pretty much went from, oh, my son's fine, to, oh, you're depressed, you're mentally ill, you're sick in the head. And I feel like most of it was just her, projecting her own, I don't even know, man. I really don't. I mean, even if I do have a mental illness, which, who knows? I don't know. I've never been properly diagnosed. I mean, I have, again, I have had, quote unquote medical professionals be hey, we think your son's bipolar, because my grandma's bipolar, my mom, apparently, according to my dad told me that she is bipolar. She just doesn't take any medication for it. She has the diagnosis, but doesn't refuses to take medication. My aunt on my mom's side and my dad's side, they're both schizophrenic. My uncles are all bipolar. One of them has NPD, which, it's what, I don't know, it's narcissistic personality disorder, and no one talks to him. He has a legit diagnosis for it. And it's just, why would you, first off, why would you have kids? And the whole funny part about it is that, the one thing that made my mom so angry at me and so just, taking out all frustration on me is that the fact that I was not, this amazing son, I wasn't this Henry Cavill, just beautiful son who, got everything handed to him and, was successful with girls. Cause I don't have a dating life. I've never had a dating life, and it's just, again, I feel like it's just so easy for parents to just, manipulate and take control over their subhuman son because of the lack of that, the lack of, not many good social interactions and having a good social life. And, my mom just expected me to be this person that I will never and can never be. It's and I notice parents do this all the time, and it's just so cringe. Let's say, for example, there's a couple, they both have 75 IQ, and the woman gets pregnant, the wife gets pregnant, and they're thinking, our son's gonna be the next Albert Einstein. Oh my God, I can't wait. And then they give birth to a 64 IQ, subhuman son. And they're like, what happened? It's and even too, again, it's just the ultimate wombo combo of first off, being subhuman and then having a helicopter parent on the top of that, or mental illness. Oh my God, man. Because at least if you're good looking, you can have like that excuse, people, that halo effect of, oh, he's good looking, maybe he can get away with, having terrible social skills and all this stuff. But yeah, parents do that all the time. They have like high hopes for their son being like like this famous, like beautiful, tall, like it's like false expectation. And I feel like my mom just couldn't handle that about me. She couldn't handle the fact that I was falling behind in school. My social life sucked. I never dated. I never had any dreams or, aspirations or whatever for anything. She hated the fact that I got bullied and made fun of and had terrible self-esteem and was depressed. Like, of course, like, you're not going to want to see your offspring miserable and failing with women and, being a complete loser. And it's so brutal too, because again, my mom, she sent me a picture the other day of her in her 20s. Like, she was like, oh, this is your mother in her 20s. Like, she just texted me up, sent me a picture. My jaw dropped. I was like, and this is her prime, guys. This is her in like her 20s. If she was born male, oh my, I would give my mom, honestly, like in her prime, 2 out of 10, maybe 3 out of 10 at best, just being nice. And I don't know what my dad was thinking, because I'd say like in my dad's prime, maybe 6 out of 10. He wasn't terrible looking, but my mom, on the other hand, oh my God, her nose, like, just acne, it's just, I couldn't even believe it. I'm like, no wonder. Like, I'm looking at that picture and I'm like, are you, like, why did you think, like, what were you thinking? Like, and she always gives me like this talk about how, like, oh, you're so handsome and you don't realize it, you're so good looking. And I tell her, like, then why did I get rejected by every female I talk to? Oh, they're not right for you, they're missing out. It's just like this cope talk, but that's her trying to quote unquote, uplift me. But I've been thinking about like lots of stuff that I went through just, growing up with my mom. Like, first off, I mean, even before I started living with my dad, she pretty much, because I was going to fly down there initially because my mom kept telling me I was going to get paralyzed and die driving down there. And I heard her calling my dad, and she was like, our son's too stupid to fly. He doesn't know how to fly on his own. He's never flown in a plane before. I mean, I haven't. But again, like, my mom pretty much did everything for me. And at the same time, I'd be like, oh, why are you so immature? And why do you not know how to do anything for yourself? Meanwhile, she made every doctor appointment. She did everything. And of course, it's embarrassing. I mean, even growing up, my friends knew how crazy my mom was, and how overprotective she was, because I can name like so many. Like, I wrote down a couple that I was just like, and I'm sure I'm forgetting like tons, and I mean tons of stuff that I went through. I mean, even as of recently, man, like, oh my God, the job, pretty much my old job, I would do delivery driving. And my mom hated that, because I would go to like really shitty areas and, stuff like that. And my mom was like, I'm going to call up your boss and tell him that you can't do this. And, oh, dude, I swear to God, like, if that happened, it would have been over. I actually would have probably quit that job out of embarrassment, because there was actually a woman. This woman had like I don't know, like some sort of mental illness. I think she was autistic, but she was receiving disability and she was working full time. And her fucking dad calls the store and goes, oh, I don't want my daughter. And keep in mind, this woman's like in her 30s. She's almost 40. She's like 38 or something. And basically, the father calls, oh, I don't want my daughter working full time because I won't get her disability checks. And she got fucking flamed for that shit. Everyone made fun of her for that. And it was just so brutal, to watch. And it's like, if my mom did that, it's like, I'm a grown adult too. It's like, what? And she was on the phone. She was like ready to call. And I'm like, call the store. And I'm like, don't, like, it just would have been so embarrassing, especially too, like, my mom talking to people for me and doing things for me. It's just embarrassing, the reason why I don't really know how to cook is because, like, she always thought I was going to burn myself. And Like even before I left, she was like, "Oh, you can't cook anything because I'm afraid you're gonna hurt yourself." And oh man, and now I feel like I finally can just live my life, and just try and do more things by myself, But I would say honestly, the worst one was the driving one, because she would always, like, this is the whole irony. She'd be like, "Oh, why don't you want to drive? When I was your age, I wanted to drive all the time." And I even noticed that with like our generation, like in general, like most people my age, like don't even have their license. Like I'm glad she like pressured me into getting my license, but at the same time, she made me so fucking scared to drive, because she would always tell me, "You're gonna get paralyzed, you're gonna crash, someone's gonna rob you when you're driving late at night, something's gonna happen," and and she just drilled it in my head, and I'd be like, "All right, well, fuck driving, I don't want to crash," and all that. And I shit you not, guys, the day I got, so pretty much the car that I was driving, like it had been sitting in the driveway forever, and it finally got fixed. And this was like the first drive that I went on. I was with my mom. We're in a 7-Eleven parking lot. It was just a literal, I swear to God, just drive down the street, park, went in, got stuff, came back out. And as I was pulling out, so I pulled out like way too, I started turning the wheel too early. And I ended up scraping the back of this guy's car a little bit. And she let out the most blood-curdling scream I have ever heard in my life. She's like, "Stop! Stop! Oh my God! Oh my God!" And, I pulled over into another parking spot. She gets out the car, starts screaming, "Oh my God, sir, I'm so sorry. He's new, he's stupid." Oh my God. That was another thing that embarrassed the shit out of me. Like you would think, if you were sitting in that fucking store, you would think that I ran somebody over from the reaction that my mom gave. And, she just started screaming. I didn't even leave the car. That's first off how embarrassed I was. I was just super angry and just embarrassed. She just starts screaming. Everybody, comes out the store. Everyone, there's even people recording my mom just flipping out. The cops came, and she's just talking to them. "My son, he's stupid. Oh my God, it just like brings back so many shitty memories." She's like, "My son, he doesn't know anything. He's new to driving. He doesn't know what he's doing. He's a kid. He's stupid. He doesn't know what he's doing." And I was just like, like my blood pressure was just exploding. Like I can't even describe how mad I was. And the cop came up to my door. He's like, "Your mother's a character." Like he made like some stupid remark, and I said "fuck off" like under my breath, because I was just so pissed. And he just started screaming. He's like, "How dare you talk to an officer like that?" This guy like went off, and then I just was like super pissed. And he went over and told my mom. And the kid that I hit, it was like some college student. I only saw him for like a brief second. I didn't even talk to this guy. Thank the Lord for him, for not like starting shit. My mom told me like he just was like chill about it. He didn't like do anything through the insurance, because I'm telling you guys, it was the smallest scratch you will ever fucking see in your life. Like it didn't even do like much damage. And she's flipping out. "Oh, don't give him points on his license. He's stupid. He doesn't know what he's doing." And just, yeah, people recording my mom, just laughing, and it just sent me into a rage. And then, of course, when everything was said and done, she got into a car, and I was in a shitty mood. She's like, "Why would you say that to the officer? You could have got arrested. What would you have done if I wasn't here for you? What would you have done?" And I remember I went home, guys. I literally almost had a fucking mental breakdown because of that shit. She's like, "What's wrong? What happened? What's wrong?" That will always be a terrible, terrible memory in my head. Like, I don't even want to relive it. It just sucks. Another one too, that I wrote down here was like every time. So this is the thing. My friends, like, they were like sort of like at the time, like they liked paintball and airsoft and shit like that. And I was like, 15 maybe? This was like 8 years ago now, almost. And they were gonna go like paintballing, or I think it was airsoft actually, in the woods. And my mom was like, "Don't do that." And she was sending me all these articles, like, apparently there's like this article of kids who were playing airsoft in the woods, and someone called the cops and thought it was a real gun, and the cops ended up shooting them. She's like, "You're gonna die. A cop is gonna come there and they're gonna shoot you because they just are." And it just made me like super scared. So I kind of just like told my friends, I'm like, "Yeah, I can't go, because of my mom." And it's just like so embarrassing, And I even remember they would go to like this water park every year, And my mom, again, she'd be like, oh, don't go to the water park. What if you slip and fall and crack your neck or jump off of the thing and end up paralyzed? And I was like, oh shit. And then, you know, I just got fucking paranoid. And now that I look back on it, it's like, what the fuck was I doing? What was I thinking? I should have just fucking went. Oh, here's another one. Hold on, I wrote down another one. Oh, this one fucking pisses me off. So basically, this was like around, I want to say like 5th grade maybe. I had went down to, have a sleepover with somebody in my elementary school. I only had like, I think 2 friends in elementary school. And I pretty much, you know, my dad drove me down to where I used to live to like have this sleepover because it was my friend's birthday party. And they were all hockey players. They all played hockey. They did ice skating. Now, years prior, like a few years prior, I went ice skating with my mom and like her friend. And my mom fell on the back of her head and smacked it. Had like a terrible, terrible concussion. And she was like, you're never ice skating. You're never doing this again. You're never doing this again. Look at what happened to me. That's going to happen to you. And it brought this whole fear of ice skating. You know, I actually might fucking go ice skating. You know, fuck it. I'll just look up an ice skating place and just do it. Because, like, I had, like, this terrible fear. And, like, I remember my mom calling up this fucking kid's mom and being like, he's not going ice skating because of my accident. And I remember my stupid ass I was watching them all, you know, all my friend and all these kids from my school just ice skating, and I'm just sitting there like a dumbass because my fucking mom said, she's gonna hit his head like I did. It's not safe. But yeah, like, I don't know. It's just, and even like nowadays, like fast forward, like she just, you know, she goes from 0 to 100 super fast. You know, like, again, you'll think you're making progress. Like, I think I'll be, you know, on the phone. I think she'll be okay. And then she'll snap over something I say, or, you know, it's just, you can never make her happy, you know? And, you know, another brutal one was, getting drunk on Christmas. That was probably the worst decision I've ever made in my life. First off, like, my body just can't handle alcohol like the rest of my family. Like, I'm pretty much like, I can't drink coffee, I can't smoke, can't really drink alcohol. But I got super drunk on Christmas. I don't even know why. I just did. Fuck it, I did. I don't know. And my mom pretty much made me go to the hospital. They told her, like, oh, you know, he just needs to rest, you know, drink water, rest. And she, you know, just calls up the rest of my family. He's an alcoholic. He's turning into his father. Oh my God. And, you know, embarrassed the absolute shit out of me. And, you know, it just sucked, you know. And then from there on, she's like, I can't trust you anymore. I can't trust you. So every time I'd come home from work, because I started working from 9 to 9. Like, I started getting like a even schedule. So it was from 9 to 9. And I would come home at like 9:30. And she would just pat me down. Do you have any alcohol on you? And then she'd be checking my car like, oh, is there any alcohol in here? Are you drinking in the car before you come in? Your father used to do that. And she was just a paranoid fucking mess. And it just was like, oh my God. And this went on for months, you know. She even thought about buying a fucking breathalyzer. And I'm like, thank God she didn't. That would have been fucking so bad. But again, like, I wasn't doing anything. You know, I was coming home after a long day of work. I was going to bed. You know, I wasn't doing shit. And she's just patting me down like I'm a fucking criminal and telling the whole family, he's an alcoholic. And, you know, it started this like whole problem that I just didn't need. Like, I ended up telling somebody who I used to work with, who I could kind of talk to, and like I trusted him like a little bit. And I kind of just like said one day, like, dude, you know, I got wasted on Christmas for like the first time in forever. And my mom flipped out. She wants to get me into AA, which I did end up going to just to like please her. She would always like scream in my face, like, if you don't go there, you're gonna turn out like your father. I can't believe how drunk you were on Christmas. And just that was like the only thing she talks about. She's like, you traumatized me that day because you couldn't even walk straight and you were slurring. But you know, when the people that I've told so far about, you know, me getting drunk on Christmas and, you know, my mom flipping out, they pretty much were like, dude, you know, everyone gets drunk on Christmas. I get drunk with my family on Christmas. And I'm just like so confused if like what I did was wrong or not, you know? Again, you know, her just like pushing me to this AA meeting, which I felt so out of place in, because first off, you know, 22 years old, I'm with a bunch of literal alcoholics who are like, you know, in their 50s and 60s, who were drinking bottles of fucking, you know, whiskey, bourbons, and vodka, you know, even like fucking gallons a day. And I'm just sitting there off of one bad experience. It's like, I guess the best way, like how delusional it is like, let's say you're 60 years old and you only have one sexual experience in your life and you're claiming you're a porn star. Like, it's just like so delusional, you know? And the main reason was like, she would just have these like panic attacks and mental breakdowns every time she would think about it. She'd be like, I don't want you turning out like your dad, you know, and it just, she would get all shaky and start screaming over it. She's like, how dare you even touch alcohol? How dare you? And, you know, I don't know. It's just like a complete disaster. I mean, it is what it is, but yeah. Another thing too, which I want to say about my dad, I just thought of right now. My dad, he hunts, he fishes. Those are his hobbies. He loves hunting. You know, he would back at the old house I used to live at, when my parents were together, he would always hunt, go in the woods, you know, shoot deer, and go on a boat and go fishing. And my mom was like, you're not going on that boat with your father ever, because you're gonna drown. And, you know, and that scared me to death, because, you know, I mean, the ocean itself, I guess, is pretty scary, you know, if you're out in the middle of nowhere. But I never went fishing with my dad. It would always like piss my dad off. He would always get upset. Like, he always wanted to go fishing with me, and I never went on the boat with him to go fishing. Same thing with hunting, you know, he wanted me to go hunting with him, and my mom's like, he can't handle a gun or a bow, you know, just flipping out. And, you know, the only one thing I did do was go to the butcher, you know, with him. Like, after he got a deer, pretty much he would drive me to the butcher, and my mom hated that, but that was like the only thing I could really do. Cause I feel like my dad was like so baited around by my mom, you know? And of course, you know, I got the same treatment, just completely baited around. And it's just brutal, you know, but I guess I could make up for all that time. I mean, I'm with him now. I can go fishing with him. I could do whatever the fuck I want with him now. I don't really have that, you know, fear holding me back anymore. I can go fishing with him on a boat if I want. I could go hunting with him if I want. But yeah, you know, I never went fishing with him because of that. And I even remember one day, because I was so used, it was so weird. Like, I was so used to seeing him, you know, come out the woods with a dead deer. And I don't know what it was, but like, there's this one day where my mom saw him, you know, bringing out a deer, and she just fucking lost it. Like, she just had like a panic attack, started screaming. I guess cause, it was like snowing, and, you know, the blood was like dragging across the snow. And then I started having like a panic attack and screaming, even though like I was like used to it. And my dad was like, what the fuck is wrong with our kid? You know, what is wrong with you? You know? But, you know, another thing too, I want to talk about real quick is, an incident that happened pretty much right as I left high school. So pretty much, you know, my mom, she was dating this bald beta bucks boyfriend who, this guy fucking smelled like diapers. Like, I'm not even gonna lie. I don't know how, like, she even, like, I don't know how she even, like, could stand this guy. I don't know, maybe because of his money. I don't know. But I was in an arcade with him, you know, his daughters and my mom, and, you know, I ended up cutting my finger on something, and I went to the bathroom to wash it off, and my mom was, you know, she was helping me. And I don't know what happened, but I started getting super lightheaded, and next thing I knew, you know, everything went black. I pretty much fainted and smashed my head on the floor. And the brutal part about this is that I was able to see the security footage. You know, the guy sent it to us, and I literally, like, I was laying on the wall, you know, my back was on the wall, my mom's standing right in front of me, I'm nodding off, you know, I look like I'm on drugs because I'm fucking fainting, and I'm slowly, you know, sliding down the wall, and I just fucking full force smacked my head, cracked it open, and then I woke up on the floor. And, you know, an ambulance had to come. You know, my mom just flipped out, calls an ambulance, embarrassed the shit out of me. I mean, what are you going to do in that situation? I mean, it is what it is. But I had a huge gash on my fucking forehead, you know, over my eyebrow. Had to get stitches immediately because it was just like so bad. I mean, thank God I didn't land on like my nose or my teeth. Then it would have truly been over. Like if I seriously that day lost my teeth, you know, right before college, smacked all my teeth out of my head, broke my nose, misplaced it, and oh my God, I probably wouldn't be able to cope. You know, it would just be beyond over at that point. But you know, I do have a scar over my eyebrow. It's not even a cool one. That's the thing. Like, scars aren't for subhumans. I mean, if you're Chad, people will be like, oh, nice scar, that's cool. But, you know, for me, no one really cares. I mean, I am missing a little part of my eyebrow, and it's just like, it is what it is. You know, I'm no Jason Momoa, but, you know, so that happened. And then, you know, since I guess the insurance didn't cover it, something fucking happened. But my God, the bill was over 10 grand, and she basically plops the bill on the, you know, the table, goes, you're 10 grand in debt. And this was before I started college, like literally the summer I graduated. She's like, oh, you're 10 grand in debt now. And because the ambulance, oh my fucking God, guys, if I ever like break I'll have to be like literally dying for me to call an ambulance. If I, you know, break an arm, a leg, something, I'm never calling an ambulance again. That ambulance, bill just to have the ambulance was like $2 grand, I think. It was like a little over $2 grand just to have an ambulance fucking come. And, you know, cause I was able to walk, you know, after I, you know, regained consciousness off the fucking floor. I, you know, wrapped my head around in a cloth, and, you know, the paramedics, they just walked me out, and I didn't even have to get in that fucking ambulance. I didn't even realize, like, it cost that much. I'll never go into an ambulance ever again in my life, you know, just to like have that ridiculous amount of money just for a ride to the hospital. Like, there's no point, you know? So, you know, that was that. And it was before I started college. And that was like my biggest fear anyway, starting college. I didn't want to be in debt. And I pretty much, you know, called up my dad, and he took care of it. He was just like, he was pissed off, you know, because I showed him the video, and he's like, what the fuck is wrong with your mother? Because she literally was just, I was fucking standing there, guys, I'm telling you, and I was slowly falling, and she's just staring at me like a brain dead cow eating grass. And I'm falling, and then smack. And even like, I even remember, the guy, like the clerk, like at the arcade, he was like, oh, why he was like, he said something about it. He was like, you know, why didn't she try to catch him or do anything? And I don't know. Like, I even talked to her about it. She didn't even give me an answer. She's like, oh, I thought you were faking it. Like, it's just like so aggravating, man. Like, it really is, you know. Another brutal thing too, like, which I want to close off with, I mean, I'm not even joking, like, it is embarrassing. My mom pretty much did put a tracker on my phone, and I'm probably gonna make like some like stupid meme of it on the fucking, you know, on my thumbnail. But pretty much, you know, when I got my phone, she's like, you need to, because again, with like the whole driving shit, she wanted me to have it. And you know, it's just like enough already, you know, with like the fucking helicopter parenting. Like, I'm an adult, this shit gets old, it gets embarrassing. I'm trying to finally, like, you know, do things for myself for once. And, you know, she basically, you know, every time I would leave the house or do anything, go anywhere, she would get like constant notifications of where I was at, and she would text me about it and just blow up my phone. I mean, you know, even now, I mean, they got the find my iPhone shit. I mean, that's pretty much like pre-installed in everyone's phone anyway. But, you know, after I get situated, you know, get a job, I'll just have my own phone plan. I'll pay my own fucking bills. Because I mean, I already do. It's just, I don't have my own separate phone plan. But, you know, it's like, it's just ridiculous. You know, she's always just constantly still, you know, I'm not even living with her, and she still pisses me off somehow. Like, just manages to piss me off. And it's just like this never-ending cycle of her just like, you know, when I don't respond, she'll just fucking tell my uncles or her friends, and they'll just fucking harass me. Oh, you gotta call your mother back, she's worried. And, you know, even though, like, I am kind of living in, like, garbage, you know, squalor, it's just not even terrible. Like, it's just, I mean, I've cleaned the house. I'm pretty much, like, just trying to be as productive as I can. And, I mean, yeah, like, it's just, and her to say, like, oh, you know, it doesn't sound safe down there, I'm gonna call somebody to condemn the house because it's obvious, it's clear that, you know, it's not a safe environment. Like, fuck off, you know. Once I get fucking situated, and, you know, I don't know, like, I'll probably eventually, like, move out from my dad's. Like, he doesn't really, again, he's not a helicopter parent. He could care less, you know. He just loves his beer, and, you know, I mean, that's it. He's way more easier to live with and talk to, 100%. And, yeah, you know, it's just, I feel like once I, you know, get everything just finally by myself, I'm just gonna block everyone in my family, never talk to them again. I'm never having kids. I mean, it's kind of ironic because I don't have a choice. I noticed, like, you know, with, like, the anti-natalists, like, most of those people, like, they're subhuman, and they think, like, they're like, oh, you know, I don't want to have kids because I don't want them to suffer. But, you know, in reality, like, they can't even have kids to begin with because, like, it's completely over. Like, they suffered their whole lives. It's just, like, same for me. You know, I haven't had an easy life. I've had a shitty life. I don't want to pass this on to, God forbid, a fucking son. And, you know, if he's just as pale as me, you know, if he's got that, you know, pale Irish skin and red hair, and he's bloated and completely subhuman, then I already failed as a parent, because he's going to go through the same bullshit I went through growing up. And, I just don't want that, you know. And that's even if, you know, if I do, even get a chance to, first off, date. I mean, I don't even, again, that shit's, like, off the table. But, yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it.